Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I'm so excited to have you over. You are seasoned with real estate investing. That's something my husband and I are in the early stages of talking about. We are thinking of having some cash flow for this next stage of financial freedom. I want to jump in with that because there's so many different ways to invest. We've done like index fund investing, which is really popular. But for you, what was your motivation getting started with real estate investing? What was that pull for you?
Sure. For me personally, I will make a disclaimer. I hated viewing homes as a kid. I was with the family that moved every 5 to 7 years because
Mhm.
my mom wanted a bigger and better home. So we were in that rat race. My parents were both professionals. And
Mm.
so basically, it's very surprising that I got into real estate because I hated riding in the car with the realtor, looking at homes as a kid every 5 to 7 years. Obviously, as a kid, you don't have any say, it's the
Mhm.
parents deciding. And I moved from so many different schools. I think that's why one of the reasons why I'm so outgoing because
Mhm.
I just had to make friends on my own because I'd be moving every 5 to 7 years. I will tell you, I was influenced by the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert
Mhm.
Kiyosaki. You've probably heard about that. But what actually sparked my interest in real estate was the concept of passive income in that
Okay.
book. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. As a kid, I did the lemonade stand, puppet show, going into college as a young adult. I was supposed to be studying for my classes. I was a humanities major, but on the side, I had a resume business. I got
Mm.
paid actually by my university to take notes
Nice.
for classes. So I always had all these side hustles. Once I got influenced by that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, then the light bulb kind of set off. Oh, there's actually income that you can make passively, and it doesn't require work from you to do it. I learned the difference between active income, which depends on you working at a job. You get paid
Mhm.
a certain amount to work that job. There's also this concept of passive income, and it's
Mhm.
more on the investing side. You make your money work for you so that you don't have to work so hard. That's how I got into real estate investing. I was a business to business corporate account executive. So I had the sales experience while I was learning, I actually started finding deals for other real estate investors. What I do, I'd go to my local real estate investor club and I'd meet these real estate investors who just didn't have the time to go out there and find these deals. So they'd give me their criteria. I did something called bird dogging, which is like you go out and you find these deals, you get all the information, and then you bring the deal to the investor and then
Mhm.
they talk things out with the seller, try to negotiate a deal. If they do, then I get paid for that lead. So I did that for a while. And then after that, I went into wholesaling, basically taking it one step further, getting all the information, but then putting it under contract and then assigning my
Oh.
interest in the deal to the investor buyer, like the end buyer. And then I get paid for that. I did that for a while to build up cash. Eventually, I started building up enough cash to buy and hold properties as a single family home. I did that for a while. I built up a portfolio. Now burn out from that because every month, guess who the first person who got paid was a mortgage company. I was like, why is all my cash flow going to the mortgage company or HOA or the insurance company? I was the one that was paid last. I'm like, that doesn't sound
Yeah.
right. Where's all the passive income and cash flow that I was reading about? Then I decided to, you know what? I'm just going to sell my entire single family home portfolio, which sounds
Wow.
crazy, cashed out at a great time, and then use that money to actually get into mobile home investing, which is what I do now. I buy mobile homes for cash without a mortgage. And then if I decide to rent it or sell it on payments, then all that cash flow comes to me. So that's pretty much
Oh,
what I do in a
wow.
nutshell. Yeah.
I love how you had this plan and you build up. I think I don't want to say it's a myth, but to a degree, a lot of entrepreneurs are put in this bucket where they're risk takers, they're doing this. But then when I talk to entrepreneurs like you who've been doing this for years, there's like a calculated risk. There's some kind of numbers and analysis as you jump in. And I didn't know about the different roles in real estate that you were just mentioning. I feel like I'm going to have to put in the show notes of this dictionary for real estate.
Yeah, that'd be a
too.
good idea.
Yeah. But as you mentioned, there's different ways even to invest in real estate. Single family homes is what people imagine. They see HGTV and these channels and they, oh, yeah, this would be great. What made you pivot into mobile home investing?
Pretty much the mortgage company getting paid first. When I
Okay.
got that rent check,
Mm.
that money, a large portion of it went to the mortgage company, then the HOA association, then the insurance, taxes, and then whatever was left over, that's pretty much what I had. To tell you the truth, I made more money wholesaling than I had with these cash flow properties and single family
Oh,
homes.
okay.
Pretty much my first deal as a wholesaler, I made a whole year's salary, which is crazy.
Wow.
Looking at that, I just kind of got burnt out, and I even got property managers to
Mhm.
manage these properties for me. But they got their fee, and I had to manage the managers. So, yeah, it was crazy, and I can't do this. And you hear all of these stories from these burnt out
Mhm.
landlords, and I will tell you, it's true. It can be a
Mhm.
nightmare. So now as a mobile home investor, I've learned
Mhm.
how to balance that. But not having that mortgage and buying these mobile homes for cash actually puts less strain on me financially. And I have to evict a tenant. Money's not coming in because this tenant's not paying. There are issues with the home. I got to do repairs. It just kind of lessens the burden on me. I just can't imagine
Mhm.
these real estate investors in California who have these crazy large mortgages on their home. You miss one payment. I mean, that's a whole paycheck to some people. If you
Yeah.
have to fill the home and it's empty and you don't have it filled with a tenant. So it's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple things. I'm trying to order my questions because
Sure, no
you had
problem.
a lot of good ones there. First of all, let's talk about buying a home because I know many are familiar. They bought their home that they're living in. Is there a different process or mindset when you go in and you're buying an investment for you, your process with that?
Yeah, absolutely. As a first time homeowner, if you're buying a home for yourself, it's completely different than
Mhm.
buying an investment. Because as an investment, you're looking at how can this make me money? To me, an investment is more of an asset because it puts money in your pocket. Whereas I know a lot of people are not going to want to hear this. Your home is a liability because it's taking money out of your pocket. Now, we always hear from the banks, like, no, your home is an asset. To me, it's not an asset. I learned this from Robert Kiyosaki in his books. It's actually a liability because it's taking money out of your pocket. You got to think about that. When you're buying a home for yourself, you're looking
Mhm.
at the home, you're looking at the location, you're looking at, can I actually live here? But you're not looking at it from an investment perspective. How can I make money off of this home? Unless you do that, but that's
Mhm.
different philosophy. My own philosophy is your home is not an investment because it's just a place to live. Whether you buy a home or you rent a
Mhm.
home, it's both a place to live. Versus an investment, you're figuring out you've got to have this extra strategy. How's this going to make me money? Either I'm going
Mhm.
to sell it to a retail buyer and fix it up. I'm going to sell it to an investor, like what I did,
Mhm.
wholesaling, or am I just going to rent it out and become a landlord? So that is your exit strategy as an investor. As an investor, you're thinking, how can this create a profit? So you're looking at it from a business perspective
Mhm.
versus buying your own home. It's just for you, but you're not looking at it as a business perspective. That's just my thoughts.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it does take a mindset shift when you're looking at that. I was talking to some others about what they had noticed as a difference was when it's your home, even though you might do your own repairs and it's a fixer upper, you're still looking for, I need this layout. It's you. But like you mentioned, you really, I mean, this is a business. So you have to Is this a place that it functions for whoever I'm trying to rent out to? Is this going to be feasible? You mentioned the realities again. I love that you're being transparent. You got good tenants, they pay, this is great, things are flowing. And then you have bad tenants. I know there's no way to completely avoid bad tenants, but for you through the years, what are like some processes or filters you put in place to make sure that you find, first of all, like a good investment, and then second, finding those tenants?
Yeah, the good investment, it comes with experience. Honestly, what I can say to everyone listening on this podcast, there's only so much you can learn your education.
Mm,
I do believe in education, reading books, listening to podcasts, watching videos, in this case, real estate investing. But there's going to be a point where you actually have to take action.
mhm,
That is where you learn the most. What I love about real estate is like, you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to have a PhD in real estate to do this. It actually levels the playing field. So what
mhm,
you get from taking action is experience. And that experience is where you learn the most. From that, you obtain knowledge, which gives you confidence to do more deals and get out there.
mhm,
It really is having the courage to get out there and take action. And I will be honest, I mean, I've been
mhm,
rejected a lot by a lot of sellers on the buying
mhm,
end. Well, I'm not going to sell you this, but you just kind of have to brush it off. It's part of the business. If someone doesn't have that personality to be confrontational, they can always bring in a partner or work with someone like what I did as a wholesaler. I have the experience because I
mhm.
was sales, so I can take rejection pretty much on that end. You just have to
Mhm.
have the courage. The only way people are going to get that is by taking action. And by taking action, you get to learn the market, you get to network, and you just get better. There is no educational university for real estate, despite what other people think with all these real estate gurus. You just got to get out there and learn your market, figure out what you want to do, and then just keep learning as you go. I know that's very vague, but it's actually worked for me.
I understand. As an investor, are there's like some wins that you're super proud of or some hard learned lessons that you picked up through your years of investing?
Sure. Probably my win that is the most memorable is my
Mhm.
first mobile home deal. And
Yeah.
basically, this deal came from, of all things, a flyer. I physically passed out a mobile home park because I buy these homes in the parks most times. This family called me. There was no for sale by owner sign on the
Mhm.
home. No one knew it was for sale. And the wife called me and said, "Listen, we want to move out of the park. We're
Mhm.
looking to get into a regular home. Would you be interested in looking at our home and coming over to see if you would buy it?" At that point, I was like, "Okay, sounds good." And this was my first deal, was completely new in mobile homes. I had the real estate investing experience in single family homes, but completely new to mobile homes.
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, how much are you asking for the home?" I mean, it's a natural question. And the wife paused and she said, "You know what? We don't want to talk about that on the phone because we'd feel more comfortable if we kind of got to know you and you came over for
Huh.
that." I was like, I've been told by many, many mentors and also these real estate gurus spout out all day long, if they're not willing to give you a price, they're not a motivated seller. And I
Mhm.
thought about that. But then I thought, you know what? What have I got to lose? I haven't even
Mhm.
done one mobile home deal. If I pass this up, it could always be what if, what if, what if. To make a long story short, I went over there. The reason why they didn't put a for sale by owner sign in their home is because they didn't want a bunch of people to go through the home and make it dirty. Okay. I went through the home. I negotiated. I got the home. It was, I believe it was a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. Believe it was 1985. And I got that home for $3,600 cash. They even cleaned it. I filled that home
Wow.
in 2 weeks, sold it for 10,000, and with a nice starter family, they gave me $1,000 as a move-in fee, and then they paid me $250 a month for the next 4.5 years. So what did I
Wow.
learn from that lesson? You never know what's going through the seller's heads. So had I not gone over there and listened to what all these gurus are saying or some of my mentors in the past, and they only tell me this because of their experience, but I could have a different personality than them. That's what I've learned. Then I may not be here on this podcast talking about mobile home investing. It may have never happened.
Wow, that's so fascinating. That's great that you were willing to take that risk. Again, it's a calculated risk. You had some experience already within real estate. I think that's fantastic. For someone that is thinking about it, maybe it's on their radar getting started with real estate investing, and they're also just curious about mobile home investing. How can people reach out to you?
Sure. Well, I do have a podcast. It's called Adventures in Mobile Homes, really easy to remember and find on any podcast player. I have a website, adventuresinmobilehomes.com. If anyone wants to learn about mobile home investing, I do offer a free class. If you are interested, check it out. As for real estate investing, my advice is to pick a strategy and figure out where are you at this point in life. Do you want to build up cash so that you can eventually buy and hold properties? Or can you buy properties now, but you want to have them for cash flow? So do you want to be a landlord or do you want to be like what I did, bird dog and a wholesaler? Figure out what your strategy is. And I do have a book. It's called Real Estate Investing Sucks: How to Find Your Niche and Dominate. Basically, from all my experience as a real estate investor, the most successful people are the ones that actually have a niche. And mine is mobile home in terms of mobile home investing. My recommendation is to pick a niche, stick with the niche, and then learn it as much as you can. It's funny because I did have a mentor when I first got started. She was local in my area. I met her at a real estate conference. She had never done anything in real estate investing. She just picked mobile homes. She just read up all the books on mobile homes, started it. And she was a corporate executive too for a tech company. And we just had similar backgrounds. She's like, you could teach me a lot because you have more experience than me. I'm like, I don't know anything about mobile homes. She's like, Rachel, it's not that different. I was coming from single family homes.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I do. And she just stuck with it all this time. That's all she did. She's done great for herself. Basically, stick with a niche. And if you want to check out that book, I have a whole series of books. Real Estate Investing Sucks. I'm sure you can put the link to the book.
Yeah. It's going to be in our show notes. Yeah.
Yeah. I have one on how to deal with change and find success as a real estate investor. And then another one, how to find, hire, and manage contractors the right way. And then if you are interested in learning about mobile home investing, I have a book, Adventures in Mobile Homes, How I Got Started in Mobile Home Investing, and how you can too, as well too. So that's just my suggestions. And of course, listen to podcasts like this.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I really appreciate this. I'm going to make sure in the show notes we have that because I think one of the things people are looking for when they're looking for information is from people that they trust, people that are knowledgeable. Again, I love how open and transparent you are with real estate, the good and the bad, because sometimes you hear like, oh, it's great. It's completely passive. You don't have to do this work. But the truth is like, you have to do the work. The numbers have to line up on the spreadsheet. You have to think like an investor and you have to be objective because sometimes, like you mentioned, if a tenant doesn't pay, you got to get started on that process of eviction. So there's good and bad with that. If you're listening and you haven't already, go check out the show notes. You're going to get all the information to reach out to Rachel, her books, her class to get started in real estate investing. So thank you so much, Rachel, for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks. I'll appreciate it.